Have you ever wondered why you're drawn to some people more than others? Like some people, it's almost like this magnetic kind of pull, right? Especially in the online world, when who do you follow on YouTube or social media? That the people that you really drawn to, and there's a specific type for me. It's almost like I go in and I'm kind of all open and aware, and my attention is kind of everywhere, and these people are and my attention is right, like hyper focused on that specific person, or that specific person with that quality, right? So I got really curious, what exactly is it that I'm so drawn to them? And to the point that I booked sessions, right? This is especially applicable if you're looking for a therapist, a coach, a mentor, someone you want to guide you in some kind of way, right? You're going to someone with something that you want to resolve or talk about, right? I've always had therapists, coaches, and mentors in my life, but I also did a lot myself. So when I reflected back and I looked at the people that I worked with, there's one specific person I worked with the longest, and he has had the most profound impact. I don't even think I would be here without him, right? Because at that point I was extremely, I was in a mental health crisis. And interestingly, he does not have that quality. And what I'm talking about, like, perhaps you can think of someone too that you really drawn to. You really, it's easier for your attention to stay focused with that person versus getting scattered. And at first I thought it is their confidence. This is a person that is very confident and almost a little bit of authority, so that it was a little bit of push and pull kind of sometimes, but mostly I thought it was confidence, till I realized it is certainty. They're selling you uncertainty. They're presenting things in a way that, yeah, that's the way, that's the only way, and they're so convincing in the way they're presenting this, and that energy, and it has such a significant pull for me. And I'm curious if it does that for you too. And I was investigating that, right? I got really curious, and I think it is very common for trauma survivors, right? For myself, there was a lot of traumas, especially when I was younger, sort of around 10, that involved groups of people, and those assaults actually happened in broad daylight, in public places, right? So I could not be certain that I could walk from home to the shops or to school or whatever in a way without being attacked or abused. So that longing for certainty was somehow coupled with safety or stability, that knowing. It kind of had a deliciousness to it. I wanted it so badly, right? To feel certain that I can be safe. And I fell for that over and over, right? It's not to criticize those coaches or mentors or people that I work with. I still got a lot of out of their programs and packages, and in that sense, but I realized afterward it was not what I expected, because pretty soon you can see through that, even though they're presenting as being very certain and confident, when you get to know them better and when you're working with them, you realize it is not. It is not It's not possible. Certainty, there's one thing that's certain, and that is certainty is an illusion. It does not exist, right? Look at it. Nothing's certain. Everything's forever changing. The seasons are changing. Everything in nature is changing. The body is changing. Oh, it's really short. This is the longest my hair's been in a long time, and I've just noticed it's rather grey. Yeah. I had to really investigate that the certainty, and how for me that was kind of linked with a belief that certainty, it will give me that sense of safety, and I longed for safety so badly, right? And this is one of the most healing, or the biggest shift in the healing for me was, and I'm curious to hear you too, but when I was actually able to really sit and allow myself to feel not safe, to not fight it, right? Not to make certainty or safety or all those things right or wrong. This is how it should be, and this is how it should not be, right? This is okay, this is not okay. But and again, not to making feeling unsafe okay, but to just be in that experience, to feel utterly unsafe, that helplessness, being at the mercy of other human beings in a moment, right? Especially with a lot of abuse. That utter helplessness that we were not able to feel in a moment, right? It was just that the focus was on surviving in one sense, and at some point perhaps you too didn't even really actually want to survive anymore, but to allow yourself to be in that emotion, extremely uncomfortable. I'm talking about my experience. I'm not trying to project that, but I'm curious to hear from you too, right? I know a lot of you have had a lot of therapy and really looked into those very intense feelings and the beliefs that we shaped about me, this body, the world, the people, the society, this life, right? For many of us, we put them into solidity in moments where our whole body, everything was in complete distress and dysregulated and everything, right? To really have that courage to go back there and look at it and allow yourself now, when there is reasonable safety, right, with people to feel that, for me to be able to let go of that need to know with certainty that I can walk down the street and feeling safe. Do I need to feel safe walking down the street? Is it really a necessity to feel safe, to enjoy watching the birds flying around there? And right, because the moment that for me to feel not safe, like right in this moment, watching the birds going by, right, for me to provoke a sense of not feeling safe, I will have to go into my thought world, and I have to produce thoughts about the past. Remember what happened, and then the mind will predict it could happen again in future, it could happen right now, right? You have to go into the thought world. If you don't do that, if you're staying fully in the present to enjoy the birds, watching those birds or walking. There can be a sense of not feeling safe. Right. And I'm not saying do not protect yourself, there's certain people, like I am probably hyper vigilant in detecting people's energy, like I can feel them even if they're on the other side of the road. Right? Certain people I just, you learn, right? The survival skills to really feel people's energies and intentions. You don't even need to look at them, right? Perhaps you can relate to that too. So when that is not happening, right, let's just walk. So that was that was just something I've been unpacking, releasing, allowing it to unfold or just be, and not clinging to it, grasping for that certainty. Can I have some of that? That's what I want. Right? Yeah. To the point that I that like I said, you might even buy coaching packages and things that are ridiculously overpriced. Why not? Right? There were experiences. I wanted that certainty so badly. And letting that go by allowing yourself to feel very uncertain. And really investigating that belief. Why is certainty good? Desired. Something I wanted was right for so long. We often said that in the research world. I had decades in medical research. I have a PhD in internal medicine, specifically immunology, and we actually had a saying like the more you know about something, right, especially our body, the more uncertain you get, because you realize there's so many factors that can influence how a body heals or whatever, right? That certainty has a very different kind of feel in that world, and I guess that kind of instigated for me to actually really look into that. Why am I craving it so much, when on the flip side I know that the more you know about something, then it really messes with that sense of certainty. It's easier to be certain about something sometimes when you don't know much. Yeah. Well, I was curious to hear your thoughts about that. And if you are pulled by people who have that energy of certainty and confidence, authority, it's that mixture, right? That very strong energy, whether you're drawn or pulled towards them too, right? And it's interesting because the minute I've really looked and investigated, now I still see those same people that had that magnetic pull. It's gone. it doesn't have that effect anymore, right? So when we investigate and believe, things constantly shift and change. They just do. Right? It's not right, it's not wrong, it just is. Just forever changing. Right. I think that's enough contemplation, uncertainty.